Hello everybody and welcome back to more of the Hayseed Night. I'm not sure how long this demo is, so this might be the last video, there might be one more. It's hard to tell with a lot of these visual novels. But anyway, in the last episode, our dramatic fellow who doesn't know how to talk to women ran into the most beautiful woman that he's ever met before, or the most beautiful gazelle. Okay, so anyway, we will continue from there. He then ran away because that's all he knows how to do. The sun was already up in the sky by the time Adder managed to remember that he was supposed to go to the bazaar. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to arrive so late. Please don't kill me. But lo and behold, there was no one around. Ha! I'm first! Wait, now's not the time for that. Ina could get here any... Adder knew better than to finish that sentence. Sensing a presence behind his back, he turned around slowly. Boss! Ha! Gotcha! You really need to stop sneaking up on people. Ina pointed to the ground. A few wooden beams were laying next to a sheet dyed a vibrant red. Right. I know I wasn't supposed to prepare the stall, but you were too rough during yesterday's fight, so I overslept, and then I kind of got lost on the way, and Ina's silent glare told him that she didn't believe a single word, but she didn't care enough to pry either. Hey, don't look at me like that. You arrived late, too. She pointed at her hair. It was dripping drops of green water. And how is that my fault that you were busy dyeing your hair? Leaving him with a perfectly valid question unanswered, she walked back to pick up a big bag she'd left a few steps away. She lifted it up with a single hand and then headed towards the stall, closely followed by Adder. It was about time that they began working. A sudden thought popped in Adder's mind as he helped her set up their carpet. So, how come the patron ain't here? Is it just going to be the two of us today? Ina simply shrugged. You won't tell your dad I arrived late, right, boss? She punched his arm with a strength she almost made him fall sideways. Ow! What did I... Oh, tell. Sorry, boss. This little reminder that that was a sensitive issue effectively killed the conversation. People from all over Aurelium began... Wait. Irelum? Let's go with Irelum. That'll work. Began congregating in the bazaar, turning the walled plaza into a sea of spice, trinkets, and deer. The currents of that sea were still difficult to understand for Adder, who often found himself pushed to the ground in the busiest hours. Today would be especially lively. It was the beginning of the Dawn Soon Festival, and the festive Icane had to make sure to bid a proper farewell to the rain clouds so they'd be back again by the end of it. A pleasant change from Adder's usual day-to-day, working in Ina's forge under the continuous risk of suffering a heat stroke or third-degree burns. Or that's what he thought at first. Welcome, welcome! We have the best prices in town. Come and see what goods we offer. There was no reaction whatsoever to his incessant yelling. Other than Ina snickering at him for trying so hard, that is. You're supposed to help out too, you know. With a long sigh, Ina sat up and cast a tired glance over the carpet. She reached out and grabbed a small shiny dagger. After checking its sharpness against her glove, she began stabbing the air as possible customers approached the stall, attempting to showcase its intended use. Adder quickly put his hands over her shoulders, discreetly bringing her arms down. You know what? I take it back. You're always working really hard, so just let me take care of this, boss. He did his best attempt at a natural smile. Ina, who couldn't care less about any of this, simply shrugged and sat back, still wielding the knife. She let her hand fall on one of the stones that paved the bazaar and effortlessly tore it from the ground, deciding that it'd be better served as a sharpening tool. That's not helping. The hours passed by slowly and painfully, for they were completely ignored by any passerby. Well, actually avoided rather than ignored. It was no surprise. The merchant, Adder's patron, and his mute daughter were two of the most despised people in the city. In spite of the incredible variety of antiquities and smithery that the merchant had for sale, no one ever bought a single thing. And there were plenty of reasons for that. Even Adder had some serious doubts about working for an old man whose fur was redder than blood and an albino smith that insisted on dyeing her hair green. The fact that they worked independently from Irelum, that word. Traders Guild probably had something to do with it too. In any case, it was well after noon, and they hadn't done anything but sit around the whole day. Adder pressed his lips together and began drumming his fingers against the floor. He looked askance at Aina, hoping a subtle call for attention had stirred her curiosity, but there was no answer. He'd have to be the one to actually break the silence as usual. So, hey, Aina? You know when I said that I arrived late today because I got lost and stuff? Aina stopped hitting the rock with the blade. She barely moved her eyes toward Adder. Well, there's more to that. It's because I actually saw a beast, ran through a wall. I saw a gazelle. I ran through a wall. Very good. I ran through a wall. Good thing I have a thick skull, right? Adder's attempt at starting some sort of one-way conversation fell short. Yet another awkward silence ensued. He feared in those long seconds of quietness that his words hadn't been heard, or worse yet, that they were, but he was to be ignored for eternity. No, that couldn't be. He surely worried her too much. Of course she'd be concerned. What kind of idiot runs straight into a wall and then brags about it? I shouldn't have told her that, he lamented, thinking of ways to excuse himself for such a dumb thing. Okay. Okay. Ow! What's that for? Come on, Boss, you do stuff like that all the time, and then get mad if I get worried about you. Ina had a mean smile on her face, but her arms folded over her chest. While her bad temper was known and feared among the other merchants, it was unusual for her to be so acidic, especially towards Adder. Okay, I guess I gotta point it out. You're acting really weird, boss. The smile on her face vanished, replaced instead by a grimace. In response to this affirmation, Ina merely shifted her gaze to the blade and resumed her tasks, pretending she hadn't heard him. But if Adder was known for one thing, it was his incessant need to stick his nose in everyone's business. Why would I ask if she's scared? What's wrong, Aina? A wrinkle formed over her nose as she focused on keeping calm, but Adder didn't get the message. Come on, you know you can tell me. No sooner had he finished that sentence, Aina slammed the dagger she was sharpening against the ground, effectively sinking its tip into the ground. Right, I know you can't tell me, but if you figure out any way to tell me how you feel, Ina got up all of a sudden, her face red in anger. Adder was preparing himself mentally for the beating he expected would ensue, but instead she just plopped down on the ground, sitting with her back against his. Our dear buck was puzzled, to say the least, but Ina didn't make a sound. She just sat behind him, completely still and hidden from the public eye. Of course, the possibility of getting whacked in the head was now more real than ever, so Adder didn't even attempt to guess why she'd ever do that. What was the patron thinking? Well, he probably didn't expect you two to play hide-and-seek in the stall. What the fuck is going on? Adder and Ina immediately jumped away from each other, doing their best attempt at looking half-professional. A thunderous laugh resonated over the ruckus of the bazaar. Illigrab? It's respectful Illigrab Buntalos to you, boy. But please, don't hold back on my account. I'll just look the other way. What? And so appeared the man that was so red that it would seem that he had stolen all the color his daughter was lacking. Patron? Ah, so he gets the respectful treatment and I don't. I see how it is. What's that salacious Dalcop doing to my daughter now? They're just strengthening the ties of their friendship. Ah, or is this budding love? The merchant shook his cane, hitting Illigrab's twiggy leg with a loud thunk. The tree man just wiggled his mustache in response. Wow, wait, we weren't doing anything, patron. That's the problem, you cumberground, you loiter sack, you... Coughing fit saved Adder from more old-timey insults that he could barely comprehend. Once he'd recovered, the merchant put his bearded face next to Adder's, resting the tip of his cane on Adder's chest. He opened his toothless mouth slowly, his breath reeking more of bleach, more like bleach than like... Why? You haven't sold a single thing, have you? Now, that's hardly their fault, Red. I'm sure this Yowdson was just frolicking with my daughter as usual. She's old enough to frolic as she pleases. She hasn't come of age yet. Of course she hasn't. There's no way for her to pass that right. Of course there is. She just needs to open her mouth and stop being an idiot. She's mute, patron. I wish that'd rub off on you. Maybe then you'd learn to keep your mouth shut when adults are talking. But I did pass the coming of age right. I'm an adult too. Shut up! Don't you have anything to say about this insolent child? Aina. She walked away when you two were arguing. Then why didn't you say so sooner, you overgrown sapling? Well, she looked like she needed it. This is your fault. And yours. He stabbed at her nose with the tip of his finger. Mine? That stupid child's been acting up since you first arrived. Don't blame the poor boy. She's had an attitude, and you know it. I don't care. You two'd better go bugger off somewhere. I swear to Harum that I'll hit you so hard that you'll be crapping your teeth for a week. Both Adder and Illigrab winced at that. Giant, lumbering tree man. Adder seemed about to complain, so Illigrab didn't hesitate. Come on, Adder, those two clearly want some time alone. And he'll have plenty of that when I leave him tied in the pyre next time I find a mob outside the shop. Illigrab took Adder by the cape and lifted him off the ground so as they walked. Jesus, he's really strong and apparently a tree man, so I guess that makes sense. It didn't take Illigrab long to notice Adder's unusual word that I never use. Reticent? Look, I'm not gonna try. Not even gonna try. Please don't let Red's words affect you. He's worse today. There's a storm coming from the west, and it's making us old people nervous. Excuse me, God. Nah, I didn't get too bothered by what the patron says. I mean, I don't cry anymore, at least. I guess I'm just worried. Ida's been acting pretty weird today, too. Oh, maybe she's afraid of storms. I need to find her and make sure she's okay. I'm going to give him a southern voice because I think that's the Hayseed thing. Illigrab didn't reply to that last affirmation. He placed Adder carefully on the ground and patted his cape to straighten it. In that case, I have to go back to keeping watch on the fair. So this is where we say bye for today. I'll send someone to fetch you if I see her, okay? Adder nodded resolutely. Yeah, I got that word right. They waved goodbye to each other. Boom, 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 boom. Adder nodded. Oh, okay. And then the buck just stood there wondering where to start looking when the bazaar was half a league from gate to gate. Assuming she was still in the bazaar at all. Finally, I thought that fluffy bastard was never leaving. Geoff walked into the scene with a huge smile, and the giant disappeared afternoon, Mr. Bard. Oh, lad, what a face. Not a word. Thy mind speaketh clearer than thy tongue doeth. You're hungry. I'm not. Well, I am, and I can't play a song when my stomach's growling a gazzle. What? Let's get some fried leaves. I'm so sorry, Mr. Barr, but I don't have time for that. I'm looking for Ina. The patron was saying mean stuff, so she ran away all angry, and I want to make sure she's okay. And I thought my songs were monothematic. Geoff picked the strings of his ode, one by one, deep in thought, while Adder just paced around. I know just the place to look. Geoff expertly snuck through the crowds, moving with such ease that he seemed to be little more than a shadow. Adder did his best to keep up with him, though that was hardly an easy task when he was one head taller than most other deer. The place Geoff was looking for wasn't in the plaza itself, surrounded by stalls and other merchandise, but rather on one of the many alleys that led to the bazaar. The crowd there was bustling with life as well, but not quite in the same manner. They were all rowdy deer, pushing and cheering. A Carnmay alley. Carnmay alleys were very different from the official sort. While killing was still very much frowned upon, there was no chivalry. One set of rules. There was no way of knowing if the horns you were being gored with were hygienic. There were punches and kicks and all sorts of cheats. It was chaos. And for that, and several other reasons, Ina was a huge fan of unofficial Karma. Sadly, as much as Adder jumped and pushed and yelled, she wasn't anywhere to be found. Alas, your fair maiden is in another alley. Great. I'm glad that there's a Mario reference. Adder cast a long glance to the improvised battlegrounds, attempting to find her one last time. That's too bad. I'd kick some serious ass here. Good thing she's not allowed to fight. Yeah, they wouldn't let a doe. A golem, Adder. Joff cast a very serious look in his direction. This wasn't the first time they'd had this discussion, and it wouldn't be the last. Ina is not a golem, okay? She's a doe, and she's just a bit of a weirdo. Weirdo, right. Tell me, Ada, dearest, how many albino does it... Wait, how many does can you name off the top of your head that can lift your heavy butt with just one hand? Ina, now let's go. We have to find her. Why do I even bother? Look at her, golem or not, she's just a little cabbage head hiding in the crowds of this enormous city. She's damn good at hiding. And do you know why people hide? 'Cause they don't want to be found? Joff extended his arms toward him in a dramatic manner, remarking how correct he was. You're not going to find her, so why don't you go and use your thick skull for something useful, like bringing us money so we can have dinner for once? Joff pointed at the ring with his horns, and Adder knew better than to insist. With a heavy sigh, Adder nodded and began walking towards the ringmaster. Ah, wait! There's just one more thing. Is he behind him? It's got to be... I keep seeing him jump. Your bag of coins. You wouldn't want to lose what little you have what little we have to the hands of, say, some ill-intentioned crook, now, would you? Ah, yeah. Jeff extended his right hand a bit too keenly, waiting for Adder to find the purse he usually hid within his sash. But, I think I... Don't tell me you lost it. Okay. Jeff's scrawny body trembled like a branch about to snap off. Just go... Alright, see that sweaty blockhead over there with the glistening fur and a charming smile? That's your foe. I'll go place my bet now. Are you feeling like a winner, ladder? Charming? Wait, you mean the guy with the sharpened horns? But, Bart, I don't think I'm ready for this. What? What if he hits me in the face? I already lost an eye. I don't want to go blind like the merchant. Then do enlighten me, my boy, on how in the name of the Hatsa do you pretend to become a knight if you can't even handle a rack pointed at you? No wonder you can't even catch a hint, yellow piece of... Sorry about that. What? I said, I'm going to walk you through this, so, oh help me, I'm going to walk you through this, so oh help me 3 if you mess up. Hey, who let this dough in? Atta girl. Wait, yeah, there you go. Hey, who let this dough in? Atta girl, you eat your veggies, but those sticks on your forehead ain't gonna fool anyone. Ha ha. If he's serious, this is gonna be easier than I thought. Sorry, folks, I couldn't manage to make the battle. Aww. Accept these chibis as an apology. Let's pretend it never happened. That's actually pretty adorable. Well done. Well done. Woo! I'm alive! What'd I win? What'd I win? I completely forgot to place the bet. Jeff covered his face with his hands, making some sort of an intelligible noise that can only be described as the very sound of anger. Hey, Big Hat, I want to learn some tips too. I'll buy you dinner. Hey, he's my manager. Joe shut Adder's snout with one hand. My dear boy, you sure gave it all today, so why don't you go and enjoy what's left of the fair? I have a gig in the tavern later. Money, yes. Don't expect me tonight. With that, Joff hurriedly shooed a very confused Adder away. I'm going to guess that he's going to go have sex with that drunk deer. Now, without any friends or anything even remotely similar to hang out with, Adder dragged his feet around the bazaar. He had missed most of the events, and after the fight, he was acutely aware of just how empty his stomach was. Adder considered that his best bet was merely walking around until he got tired and then heading home to sleep the hunger off until Ina brought him some food the next day. That is, if Ina was coming back of her own volition. And then again, he'd never seen her miss a single day of work. He wandered all over the plaza, unsure of where he was headed, and somehow he ended up in a place that looked all too fancy for a poor buck like him. Then again, maybe it wasn't as fancy as it looked. It didn't look like the does around could afford many clothes. Before the gears in his mind could add one and one, a small flickering light coming from a tent nearby stopped Adder's train of thought. Distracted from his previous concerns about the ladies, he kept his eyes fixed on the flame in the dark. It felt as if he was directed at him somehow. Man, I can't read. Though we can't discard that being related to being too hungry to think, of course. With nowhere better to go and nothing better to do, Adder followed his intuition and headed straight into the tent. Dusk was still a ways off, but it may as well have been midnight inside the tent. Adder combed the darkness desperately, startled by the sudden change in illumination. Bandits, assassins, mongrels. His imagination conjured a million evildoers ready to make him part of his precious cape, for that was all he had on him. I mean, pretty sure, a few of us were after his clothes, not just his cape. Okay, I was weirdly crossed out. Alright, that's enough sincerity for today. I have a feeling the narrator's one of the women, maybe? An orange blur shone in the corner in Adder's sight. Its flare grew with unmeasured force, blinding him for a moment. He struggled to regain his vision, fearing those foes that only lived in his mind. Okay, what the hell's going on? But once more, there was no such thing. Bathing in the light of an orb that was filled with fire, shaded in ways that made no sense whatsoever, awaited a feminine silhouette. A very feminine silhouette. Took you long enough? Of course it was her. And all of a sudden, Adder wished he'd found a bandit instead. At least he would have known where to look then. He tried to fix his gaze on her eyes, shining above a thin pink veil that covered most of her face. But that was in vain. The sequins that hung from her neck reflected the light all over the room, dragging Adder's attention right back to them, and the bra that covered the bare minimum. I have 1,000 words to call the woman in front of him, and none of them are good. So let's just say that what she was wearing would be inappropriate now, let alone then. Don't just stand there. Take a seat. And judging by her tune, she wasn't going to take no for an answer. Well, if you insist. Adder did as she asked and sat down on one of the many pillows laying around. Pretending to be crazy, escaping, begging the gods for mercy, breaking down and claiming that he wasn't, in fact, a horn eater, that was just a mistake, and he shouldn't be there. Adder's mind was bustling with many ways to get out of that situation. So, of course, whenever his mind was busy, his mouth was free to speak as it pleased. Hi. He spoke with a voice more akin to those of a fawn whose antlers were just beginning to sprout than that of a fully grown deer. I'm Adder! I'm Adderson, son of Gurfaz, the guy who owns the highest field in the village. Ravine O'Olis. So as they know me, Adderson of the upper field back there. That's nice. A mocking chuckle stabbed Adder's heart, feeling even more self-conscious than he thought he was capable of. He held onto his hooves and fixed his gaze around the ground, screaming inside as his face burned. So it wasn't the contusion after all, huh? You're just like that. Like what? Funny. Funny? Me? Nah, I tell the worst jokes. Nothing funny about me. You look at me once and you've seen it all. I must be boring you to death right now. I'm bored of seeing deer yelling obscenities in the streets, of course. But you're the only deer I've seen in my life with the guts to compliment a baron. Then again, everyone thinks the same about Jassif in private. Adder couldn't help thinking that maybe Jassif thought a bit too highly about Jassif if she used Jassif when talking about Jassif. But he made a point not to say any of that out loud since the situation was already bad enough as it is. Alright, and we will continue this awkward situation in the next episode. I didn't realize how long I was going. But anyway, thank you guys very much for joining me. I am Flog. This is the Hayseed Night. Remember to hit that like button, comment, and of course subscribe. Are you gaming? Well, you should be. So get out there, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.